In this video, I'm gonna break down how I've been affording to travel for the last 6+ months. I'm gonna share what my expenses were, as well as sharing some numbers from 3 different countries. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna share some ways to make money online that I've just been hearing and I think are really cool. So get out your notebooks because there's no way to really make this video super organized, but hopefully I cover the basics. And if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments below. And you will see me fanning myself throughout this video because it is so hot here and I'm sitting outside in the middle of the day. And if you're new here, hi, hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Win and I am a solo mom who is currently traveling the world with her toddler. And I share about my authentic, heart-led journey through the lens of mindfulness and spirituality. If you are into self-development and exploration and embodying your full spectrum nature as a human being, but also reminding yourself that you are a divine being and you love expansion and nature and connection to spirit and alchemy and self-development, I don't know if I said that already, but all of those things, then hit that subscribe button because we are going to be best friends. Before we start the video, I want to get a big disclaimer out of the way, which is that mindset is truly everything. And no, I do not work a lot. I do not receive financial support from Akasha's father, but what I do a lot of is the law of attraction. And when you take the leap of faith and do what spirit has been calling you to do, you will be supported. You can create any experience out of nothing simply by deciding that that is what you want to experience. And travel is a great way to experience that shift in your belief system because you're almost always in an external unknown, and that can really help people break out of their familiar patterns and make room for miracles and new opportunities and just attract really fulfilling and life-giving experiences. So that's really my biggest disclaimer when watching videos like this. You can see all the videos online about how to make money, how to budget, but nothing is really going to change for you if you don't realign your inner perspective to match the external version of your reality and the version of you that you want to be birthed. A version of you that makes money doing what you love. A version of you that is not always looking for control and to change the external conditions, but is rooted in your eternal worth through your connection to God. I always say this mantra to myself, it's that my bank account is not my own. My bank account is connected to God. It's connected to spirit. The question is never, can I afford this? The question is, can a miracle make this happen? Can God, universe, make this happen? And the answer is absolutely. And that is truly what living in abundance is. It is not about how much you actually have. I did not start my travels with all the money that I would need traveling. I trusted the process and I trusted that I would be supported by living out and following this part of my journey, this part of what I feel is my purpose. I actually used all of the money that I had saved for traveling in the first 4 months, but now we are almost 7 months in and I am still going, obviously, as you can see, and I somehow have the same amount that I started with. I love this quote by Rumi, and sorry, it's a little bit loud. I'm like right off a main street, but I love this quote by Rumi that says, as you walk out on the way appears. Trust the process. Don't try and secure the end picture before you even started the journey, because then you're cheating yourself the epic transformation that you could have by taking the leap of faith and by jumping into the unknown. For myself, I am a social media manager and I work with one business right now. You do not need to work with a big corporation to do this. And if you're interested in something like this, if you can write copy, edit posts, edit videos, come up with ideas, you're organized, you're creative, then you can really do this with anybody, because nowadays everything is online and every business is going to need help in some way. You can really pitch yourself to anybody. Like if you follow any businesses or people where you love their products or you love their services, I would literally just send them a DM and ask if they need any help online. It could even be your friend, you know, who owns a business. I have gotten all of my clients through word of mouth, and I actually even just told someone recently that I couldn't help them because I don't have the time. So really, there is not a shortage of need for social media management and help. And if you really want to start in something and you feel like you can do it, you can find an opportunity. In this section of the video, I'm going to be sharing what my expenses are on a monthly average and compare them with the average expenses in the US so that you can see actually how accessible traveling really is and how you can actually transfer some of those costs with like transportation and rent, for example. I don't know if I can make this super organized because I'm going to be sharing a lot of numbers and numbers from different countries, and I'm also going to share a tip for each section on how to budget and save money. But I will have a very comprehensive video coming out soon about about all of my tips and tricks for when you actually plan your travels. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, let's get started. So just to give some context for the local economies where I've been traveling, in India, the average yearly salary is 2,000 US to 8,000 US, and the 8,000 represents skilled or professional workers. In Thailand and Indonesia, the average yearly salary is about 9,000 US. These numbers give you an idea of just how far the US dollar can go, or euro, or pound, and your monthly expenses abroad can be insanely cheaper than what they are currently in the US. I will not talk about China in this video just because I went with my family and I stayed with family, so I didn't end up spending that much money at all. What I will say is that people think China is very, very cheap, and it is not. It is a very developed, technologically advanced country. I never saw one homeless person at all when I was there. Do not assume that China is cheap. It was not that cheap. Groceries can vary a lot in the US, but let's say you spend on average $500 to $600 per month on groceries. That's about $20 per day if we're talking about the higher end of the average. And all of those meals you have to cook yourself, and it doesn't include if you want to go to the coffee shop and get a pastry or a coffee, or eating out with your friends. I do spend about $20 a day on food for both Akash and I. However, that is food that we are eating at a restaurant. It also includes smoothies, drinks, juices, coffee, full meal platter, and I feel like I'm getting a lot more for my money. For example, delicious pizza here is $6. The other day I had breakfast. It was an omelet with all these greens inside and half an avocado and sourdough bread that was homemade and coffee, and that was $8. And we eat 2 meals a day because the meals here are super filling. So that does average to about $20 a day where I am in Indonesia. In Thailand, I definitely spent $30 a day on food. Thailand was really expensive compared to what I expected. Local spots were not that expensive, but Akash didn't always want to eat that, and the food can be really, really oily and really, really spicy. In India, the food was really cheap. Westernized meals were $2, $3. That was something that I felt that was what I expected, and that is exactly what the pricing came out to be. A tip I have for eating at restaurants while you're traveling is if you plan to eat local food, go to a place that only serves local food. Restaurants that have menus with westernized options like pizza, pancakes, pasta, those are automatically going to be more expensive because they are catered to tourists. For gas and transportation, I just moved the cost directly over. Some months and in some countries, I took a private taxi a lot more, but I've also stayed in places that were really walkable so that I could reduce my transportation costs. So what was about a $200 bill every month for me in the US, just with gas and car insurance, it's pretty much the same while I've been traveling. Obviously, some months balance each other out. For reference, my motorbike rental in Thailand was 115 USD in that month, and I didn't have to take a taxi at all, and gas was super cheap. Gas was $5. But when I was in other cities, like India for example, and I was more rural, I had to take a taxi very frequently, and those taxi costs were $10 to $15 to go one place, stay there for an hour, and then come back. And I just didn't feel like I had any control over the flow of our day. If we wanted to stop and get food, that was an additional cost. When I was in Thailand, I was able to use the SkyTrain, and it was $3 to $5 for a round trip ride, so I would do that multiple times in one day. Different weeks balance each other out, and you're gonna have different needs in different places. In Indonesia, I hardly take a taxi. I am staying on a super walkable road, which is really, really nice. However, I do want to do more day trips and adventures, and having a private taxi take you on multiple stops for a day adventure, they do it by hours, not by stops, is about $30 to $50 per day. My tip here is to use public transportation when you can, and to rent a motorbike if you're comfortable with that. Or make sure when you download a ride-sharing app to use the economy or motorbike option. I never knew when I downloaded Grab that there was even an economy option. It is the exact same as a regular ride, but for some reason it's discounted 25%. I never noticed any difference. The cars were always super clean, the drivers were amazing, so I'm not sure why they were discounted, but I've saved a lot of money by using that option. Now, rent. If you are a solo solo traveler and you don't have kids, then you can stay in a hostel or a guest house, and if you're less picky, you can save a ton of money with that. You can definitely survive on a lot less. I saw some amazing hostels for like $5 a night. You can also ask for monthly stay deals or look at the monthly section of a booking website. Booking a private room in a hostel as opposed to a hotel is also a great budget-friendly option. For myself and for Akash, I am more picky, so obviously we can't stay in a shared dormitory, so I do book private rooms everywhere we go. I've had rooms as cheap as $10 a night, and I have done ones that were $50 a night. I wouldn't do that again, but just at the time it felt so insanely cheap compared to the US where you're spending like $300 a night. So I was kind of like, fuck it, but now I wouldn't do that because I don't feel like it's necessary. Give you some numbers. In Ubud, my place is $12 a night, so monthly that would be $370 US. For Thailand and India, I was surprised that the private room accommodations were more expensive than I anticipated. Like, I always spent about $25 to $30 per night, so that totaled around $800 to $900 per month. However, because I didn't stay in any place for 1 month except for one place when I was in Thailand, every week we were kind of bouncing and shifting our accommodation range. And when I was in Thailand, I did do work away, which is when you do work trade and get free accommodation and sometimes free food in exchange. And that really helped balance my expenses for that month. So that is a great option. You will have a lot more work away options available to you if you don't have a child because people will be less picky. When I was in Thailand, I did get a really good deal, and I paid $500 for the month when it was high season. Everything was booked, everything was triple the price, but I actually found a local woman on Facebook and reached out to her. I will share the details about how I went about doing that in my upcoming video on all my tips for budget travel. On the chart, I put that most people in the US probably spend $1,500 a month on rent. With the bills too, I just lumped everything together. I lumped car insurance, health insurance, utilities, fixing or buying things for your house. I said my bills were like $100 because everything that I pay for is so inexpensive, and I don't have traveler's insurance. I probably should have it. It's like $35 a month. I do have some subscriptions for things that I pay for every month, but again, like, I'm not paying electricity. Someone cleans my room. I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning. I drop off my laundry twice a month for $5 each time, so that's $10 a month. And I do a drop-in at the gym rather than having a gym membership, and that's like $6 every time. Even the necessities like shampoo and conditioner and toothpaste, it's like less than $10 a month. So I think $100 is pretty accurate for my necessities and my bills. Okay, leisure was kind of hard to categorize, and everyone's amount here will be different. Like for myself, I spent next to nothing on this when I was living in the US because I was just saving my money and I didn't really work that much. But I categorized this as like eating out in restaurants, drinks, events, concerts, wellness memberships, maybe like getting your eyebrows waxed, shopping, hobbies. For myself, like for example, I might spend more on vitamins or supplements postpartum, and that would easily be $100, or just getting Akash new clothes and new toys and new books each month would also probably be around $100. With that money that I wasn't really spending too much of when I was in the US, I am definitely spending more of it now, and I include sightseeing in that as well. I have definitely been buying myself more clothes. I bought my first bikini since becoming a mom. The only place that I shopped when I was a mom living in the US was Goodwill. I'm not kidding. I was always in sweats. My hair was always in a bun. This is a side tangent, but it's gotten to the point where Akash literally won't let me wear my hair down. He'll cry because I don't look like mama because my hair is always in a bun. I do also pay for like indoor playground memberships. Those are things that were always free in the US, but traveling abroad, there are no outdoor playgrounds. They're all like indoor cafe vibe, $6 to $10, and then you have to buy food there as well. So I definitely easily spend $100. If you are a single person traveling, you can definitely spend less. Like, you do not need to go shopping, you do not need to buy new clothes, but it is very tempting. Like, a lot of the clothes that you see in the US do come from countries like India and Thailand and Indonesia, and all the clothes here are like a third of the price that people sell them for in the US. And so it's almost like I should just buy myself a new wardrobe because my wardrobe was literally all Goodwill, which I do have some really cool things, but just like I can actually plan to get what I want when I'm going shopping. Another thing too is like I've taken some day trips to some waterfalls, and sometimes the taxi driver will just assume the role of a private guide, and so I've needed to specify if I'm looking for a guided experience with my taxi driver or if I'm just looking for a driver for the day, because a private guide is obviously going to cost more than just a private driver. I really do a lot of research on whether or not someone is selling you an experience that you really couldn't get on your own, or if they're selling you a photograph. This is kind of what I predicted the totals to come out as. I know that definitely a lot of people don't spend this much in the US, and also you definitely don't need to spend this much while you're traveling, but I am not here to tell you how to have the most inexpensive trip ever. I am sharing what I paid as somebody who is a single mom, has a child to look after, and values ease and beauty and access to nature and a good experience while also being financially smart. So this is around the amount that I pay probably every month. I'm not traveling and choosing my experiences based on what is the cheapest thing possible. I'm picking my experiences based on what I think is really going to grow us and enrich our lives. Two things that I did omit from this were airfare and daycare because they're so variable depending on your circumstances. I think it would be smart to put aside $500 every month for airfare because some months you might not use it, and then some months you might take like a really big trip. I think it's always smart to kind of overshoot what you think you're gonna spend because you do end up spending more than you realize. My tip for airlines is when you're flying into a city, check the nearby cities in that area because oftentimes the city that you want to fly into is going to be really expensive compared to the nearby airports. For example, flying into Dubai is significantly more expensive than flying into Abu Dhabi, and Abu Dhabi is only a 1.5 hour, very straightforward taxi ride to Dubai, and Abu Dhabi is such a gem on its own. It's so worth it to fly there, get to see another place, and just take like a $10 bus to Dubai. I have so many more tips for airlines that I'll be sharing in my upcoming video. Okay, now childcare. What I can tell you is that daycare in the US is extremely expensive. It was like $2,500 per month for a cost to go to daycare. Bless Rebecca's heart, the daycare owner of the place where we went, because she told me that I could literally take a cost for free and that we would always have a place there. She's so amazing. She's like an angel God brought into my life when I was praying so hard for help, but I didn't feel like I had the financial resources to actually hire help. Babysitter's gonna be like $25 to $30 an hour in the US. In Thailand, Akash went to school part-time for $500 a month. That was definitely on the higher end for Thailand. In Chiang Mai in Thailand, I was talking to a family who said that they pay $150 a month. And so far in Indonesia, the nannies that I've met, their hourly rate is $4 to $7. Sorry, these are a lot of numbers that I'm throwing out there, but I just want to get all the info out and everything that I know from my experience so that you just have a little bit more research and you can kind of figure out and calculate for yourself whatever you need to. I feel that if you can sustain yourself while living in the US, you can absolutely sustain yourself living abroad depending on where you go. I understand that money and finances can bring up a lot for people in their nervous systems and bring a lot of anxiety and contraction. And my goal really is to just show you that traveling does not have to be considered a luxurious experience. So moving on to some ideas for how to make money online. There is a million, but I just want to share some of the interesting ones that I have been seeing and the things that I think would be really fascinating and pretty easy to accomplish if you really commit yourself to them. Okay, so just for starters, any marketing role is going to be really great and something that is definitely in demand. In the last year or so, I've seen a lot of people doing something called UGC, which is basically user-generated content. So they become content creators, but they're not posting anything on their own page. They're not an affiliate. Essentially, companies send them products and they take videos and pictures of themselves using that product. Think about like stock photography, except it's like stock videos with specific products that those companies can now put on their own social media or use for marketing, rather than them needing to hire a studio, hire a photographer, hire actors, and like pretend to wash their face and like they've obviously been hired to say that. Now it's like an everyday person, a regular person can literally just wash their face in their bathroom with a product, make it look really organic, give it like some aesthetic, and you can sell that content to brands brands, and they can just have a bunch of different content from a bunch of different people. It's like, why would you tag a brand that you were using their product for free when you could make a video of yourself using their product and then sell it to them? I have seen people making $1,000 to $3,000 per video for ad usage, and that's like for 1 month of usage for a 30-second video. There's a lot of great people on TikTok who can help you figure this out. Just type in UGC creator on TikTok and I'm sure you'll find some UGC coaches or people who have like courses that you can take. And in a similar fashion, there's people who will go to hotels and will take pictures at the hotel or videos at the hotel, edit them, make them look really good, like 2 drinks at the restaurant or a picture of the pool or just like the sunlight coming through the windows, and they will sell those images to the hotel to use for marketing, and they'll get a free stay and they'll get paid usage for their photography. Of course, an obvious one is becoming an affiliate for products that you use. Like if you have some must-have travel items that you use or skincare items that you use, things that you can take with you while you're traveling, you can definitely build an additional income stream off of that simply by just talking about products that you would already use. And then when people buy them, you get a commission. With work online, you do have to keep in mind that you will be using your phone, you will need to make content, and you will need to talk about these products that you're using in order to actually sell those products and make money from them. So some other obvious ideas that would fall under this category are blogs or YouTube videos, just finding a way to monetize anything that you're doing through partnerships or sponsorships or affiliates. Another example is like you could literally be a traveling photographer and you could be a destination wedding photographer, and you could take videos and photos of people who are also traveling that they can use for their brand, for their blogs, for their social media. There's so many people who are doing yoga trainings in India, who are starting businesses, who do own their own businesses, and I'm sure there should be some photographers around who specify in taking these travelers to cool places and like shooting their social media content for them, but I haven't really seen that being advertised anywhere, and I'm surprised because I feel like a lot of people would want that. Another idea is creating a Shopify store or some drop shipping service where you can make products and Shopify or a third party is actually the one holding inventory and shipping it out for you. Really anything where you can sell something online, but you don't have to make the product, pack the product, ship the product, and you don't have to hold the inventory for the product. You could write a book about a really inspiring experience you had and turn it into a children's story and put it on Amazon, and Amazon can ship them for you. You can create digital templates and then upload them onto Etsy and sell those. So like digital planners, fertility tracking, maybe you have ADHD and you have like a certain list format that really helps you and would resonate with other people. There's so many ideas in this realm of selling digital products. Another idea that I heard of recently was becoming a travel agent. I know this has been around for a long time, but I just never really understood how it worked. But essentially you could go to hotels and you could tell them, hey, I can get you some clients if you pay me a commission, which usually it's the hotel paying the travel agent a commission, not the client. So it's basically like using Expedia or Booking, but instead of that website giving you a 20% off deal, that person is giving you a 20% off deal. And because that's a person, they can actually talk to the hotel and get you things like a free room upgrade or just make more flexible and accommodating plans for you that obviously Expedia would never do for you. So a travel agent is actually a really great way to save money and could be a cool side gig. If anyone follows Abraham Hicks, she has an amazing story of a woman who had a dream of traveling the world but somehow getting all of her expenses paid for. Like her flights paid for, her hotels paid for, her food paid for, like literally everything paid for. And of course, if she were to tell this dream to other people, they'd be like, okay, that's crazy. Like what? You're never gonna be able to manifest that. But despite all of that, because this woman was following Abraham Hicks's teachings on the law of attraction, she aligned with the vision, she believed that she could attract it, and she started living as and embodying that future version of herself. Okay, but like what does that actually mean? When you're walking down the street, when you're showering, when you're going about your everyday activities and your brain is running on autopilot, take a moment to come into your body, get really present, and imagine yourself doing all of those activities as the version of you that has the future manifestation that you want. While this woman was in this state of inspiration and connection and feeling this belief and embodying this version of herself, feeling like it was literally about to happen for her and it could happen for her, an idea came to her mind that said, reach out to the airlines and ask them if they want to hire you to photograph really epic places around the world and use your photographs. She did, and guess what? The airline said yes, and they paid for all of her flights. They paid for her accommodation, food, they paid for her excursions, and they paid to use her photos in their brochures and marketing. They sponsored her to literally go all around the world. She got exactly what she asked for and envisioned. When you're in a place of worry, you see everything filtered and colored through the lens of worry. When you're in a place of belief and hope, you see everything through the eyes of hope. Simply by shifting your perspective, and you could get a life-changing intuitive hit from God on what your next step should be that will literally take you to your dream life. Anything can happen for you. I believe in you. All right, guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Leave a comment on what the most surprising thing you heard was, and I will see you guys next time with my ultimate money-saving guide. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.